But yeah, you said your from proposition. The proposition is going to be under system F, the
You
Trinity or
took
the
too
commitments of the
long.
Trinity.
I'm not
Sorry,
sure.
what?
You took
Sorry,
too
what?
long. You took too long. I
Took
said
too
this
long. I
already.
literally said, "Give me a second, brother. Just calm down, slow down, bro. Work with me. Right, I'm trying to work with you. Right. So, and sorry for the background noise. People are messing
All right.
around.
Whatever. Just give your argument for whatever you're affirming.
Yeah. Were you clear of the position? I just want to.
Just give the argument for whatever you're affirming.
Well, I'm not too sure what you mean by argument, but I can demonstrate a consistent model for the Trinity. Just look inside chat. Am I gonna get timed out for sending like a long thing of text?
Did you say for sending a long message? No, you won't get time there.
Okay, perfect. All right, look inside chat. So this is just the modeling you refer to for the Trinity commitments. Yeah,
All right, let's look. All right, let me look inside that.
yeah.
Are you using this to prove the Trinity?
Well, I'm not too sure what that's saying. Again, that's just showcasing the Trinity in a formal language. And to be clear, again, my position
You
is
don't
just
know
that
what
under
prove means
system.
here?
Well, I
Yeah,
don't know what
what I
you
mean by
mean.
prove when
When
I
you
ask
say
you,
prove the
are you
Trinity, I
trying
don't
to
know what
prove
you
this?
mean.
Yeah, if you're saying if you're saying you're not proving anything, you're just asserting the model. Is that what you're doing?
Well, yeah, I'm demonstrating it in formal language, right? My position is just
Are
that
you
under,
saying because you can represent the Trinity in formal language, it is therefore true or even coherent in the metaphysical sense, or not at all?
no, you can take it that the Trinity does not exist and still hold that in still my position, to be clear.
Okay, the Trinity does not exist. Okay, then you'd say this is
You
purely
said what?
formal and carries no
I didn't
metaphysical
hear,
force.
I didn't hear you.
So
I didn't hear what you just said.
that's what I'm saying. I just said it. You say that your position here, your move here, is purely formal and carries no metaphysical force. And are you saying that even if the
Yeah, but
Trinity is false, your system still stands?
well, I'm saying that you can. Yeah. So to be clear on two things here. Yes,
Is there any
right. What
success?
I've just represented.
Is there any
Wait,
success?
what I just represented there is the formal language and what expresses the Trinity. So right there, yeah, clearly the language there is purely formal. Obviously with like semantical stipulations on what the terms they represent and their functions. And then secondly, yes, the view is compatible that the Trinity does not exist in like some robust ontological sense or corresponds in to the universe in the way that I do or something like that, and hold it that the Trinity is still expressible consistently.
I have questions. So, is there any success within this? And also, what's your theory of the argumentation here? And also, what do you mean by position here? When you say my position still holds, what position here? Are you saying that there exists a formal schema with two equivalence relations that avoids contradiction?
Are you fine just going point by point, sir?
I asked you a multitude of questions. Which one do you want first?
Well, whatever you want to choose. I just said, are you fine with going point by point?
Okay. So, what counts as success or consistency, model, proof of reality? What counts as these things? Is there any
Are you
success
just
within this?
asking what does logical consistency mean? Is that the question, sir?
No, 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 no. You said, okay, what you're trying to say, what I'm hearing from you is that even if the Trinity is false, right, or it does not exist or whatever, right, your system still stands, right? What would be your theory of
My
argumentation
system.
here,
What does it
and
mean
what
for
counts
the
as
system?
success?
Well, what does it mean for formal system to stand? And then when you talk about success, what are you saying? Are you just saying, is it the case that there's a model such that Trinity is satisfiable? Well, I mean, if there's a model, then it applies that it's satisfiable. But yeah,
You
is that
are
what
the
you're saying
one
there?
who said, listen, you are the one who said my position still holds. What position?
Yeah, the position that being, which I said like 5 times already, under system F here, right? There's going to be a model whereby it, in formal language, you can represent the core commitment of the Trinity consistently. All right, that's the position again for the 5th time.
Yeah, when we're talking about a formal system standing, also, we're talking about things like consistency, satisfiability, or derivability, right? So, right,
What?
what
Wait,
follows
hold on.
from with axioms under
Go back.
under your proof rules, right? So, wait,
Wait,
stop
wait.
interrupting me. Relax, calm down. So, listen,
Okay.
none of those by itself would get you obviously metaphysical truth or even metaphysical possibility, right? But we're already straying away from those things, aren't you?
I can. Well, it can be granted, which I don't think it is the case. It can be granted that what's being said here, rendered by myself, does not suggest, or it is the case that it's not metaphysically possible, or we can even say that given some moral framework, it's impossible or whatever. Right, that's fine. But wait, hold on. You said you said what it means for a formal system to stand, and then you started naming off satisfiability. You said decidability. I think you talked about derivations. I still don't understand. Are you just saying some formal system stands, if and only if, or we'll say a formal system stands if it's the
I
case
didn't
that
say that.
there's just
I
a.
didn't say that.
All right, go ahead and just clarify that.
Yeah, there's no single if and only if where a formal system stands. You're mixing distinct standards, right? What's your theory of success here? That's what I'm asking you.
What the?
Because are
Theory
you
of
claiming? Because
I'm pretty sure I already
when you're
explained.
saying your position still stands and
All right, go
your
ahead.
position still holds, yeah. When you're saying your position still holds or stands, right? Are you claiming consistency, satisfiability, or derivability, or decidability?
Well, I'm just saying, as I've said, right, when we say this thing is successful or it still stands or holds, we're just saying that, given that maybe it's metaphysically impossible or maybe it's false in the sense that it doesn't exist in the real world or something like that, right? There's still going to be a model in which the Trinity is expressed, right? Which obviously implies that it's satisfiable, because satisfiability just means that there is just some model that kind of represents the core commitment.
That represents the core commitment. Okay, so I have a lot of questions. Essentially, I think that's just restating satisfiability, then obviously treating it as it does more than what I'm asking for. Listen, are you saying success, right? You're saying success means that, but like your claim is obviously purely modal theoretic. Because when we talk about satisfiability, we're talking about there existing some interpretation where your sentence, right, comes out true given your stipulated relations, right? That's it. Under my account, that does not get you anything about a metaphysical
Hey, sorry,
possibility or
sorry, can
coherence
you repeat
under a
that?
single identity.
Sorry, can you repeat that? And also, why was I banned? Is that John? Why was I banned from the server?
But
What server?
do you have beef with Careless?
Yeah,
I don't
probably
have
does.
beef with anybody on Discord.
Oh, because Careless banned you, and Rizhan wanted to talk to you actually.
Yeah, sure. You can, or I
Oh,
mean, if you can
I
invite
got
me,
you. I
Okay.
got you.
yeah.
So what work is quote unquote stands doing beyond there is a modal I built there is a model I built or where it comes out is true, right? That what is it doing beyond that, right? What's your theory of argumentation here?
What? What is
What
it?
does
Well,
this
firstly, before
obligate
we
me
get on
to
to,
accept?
or sorry,
Wait, hold
go
on,
ahead.
answer my
My
question.
fault,
What
sir,
does
my
this
fault, sir.
obligate me to accept?
Yeah, so before we go into the argumentation talk there, um, it sounds like you're asking what more does it do than showcase, some formal modeling or, showcase some satisfiability under the system. Well, my position is just concerned with that. So I'm like, maybe there is more, maybe there isn't, but I'm just going to be indifferent to that. I'm going to suspend judgment. And then by argumentation theory, I'm not too sure what you're saying, or how you're utilizing the term, but I'm not too sure. I'm like, if you're still requesting for like an argumentation theory, I'm not too sure that that's going to be relevant, given that I've actually showcased a modeling, which is just what my position just is concerned with, right?
No, that's completely confused on what we're talking about when argumentation theory is like step two of logic. So listen, your position here is a modeling claim, is nothing more, right? So essentially what I'm getting from you is that you're saying, oh, you're only committed to that, right? And you're suspending everything else. And you suspend everything else. I think that's fine. But then obviously I'm gonna ask what your theory of argumentation here and what you were trying to establish in the exchange. Because if success just means, oh, you built the model, then there is no burden on me to accept anything beyond a trivial claim that you have here. Under my account, that
Well,
does not move me in the debate. Moving on, I'm still continuing to
mm,
talk here. Because when we
well,
talk
you're going
about
to make multiple
modeling,
points.
when
I
we talk
literally
about
asked if you want
modeling,
to go one by one.
I didn't make multiple claims. When we talk about modeling,
You didn't make
when
multiple
we talk
claims.
about modeling, I didn't. I'm not
That's what you're
asking you
clearly
to answer
confused.
the theory of argumentation question. I'm going to explain why you need to answer
Wait,
that.
no, but I'm
You
saying
just
you're
asked
making
me a
multiple
question.
points, right? You're making multiple
What
points.
was the multiple points? Name out all the points that I made.
Well, no,
Give me the
you've
multiple
made.
points.
Well, I mean, it's clearly on recording. I'm not going to recall them, but you've made multiple claims, and
Okay, so you can't
again,
recall them. I'm
I
going to continue talking then.
that doesn't
Okay,
follow that I
because when
can't
we talk
recall
about
them. That's
modeling,
all.
we're
That's
talking
going to be
about
a
a
malformed
procedural
inference there. But
architecture that
all right, bro, go ahead,
ensures
bro. Go ahead.
internal. Yeah, okay. When we talk about modeling, we're going to talk about a procedural architecture that ensures internal consistency given stipulated primitives, right? It does not by itself settle metaphysical possibility, coherence under standard identity, or truth, or even philosophical plausibility, right? So what obligation does your move place on me?
Well, firstly, I don't think that my position or even my quote unquote move places an obligation on you. Whatever you even are saying about that, right? It can be the case that there is no obligation for you to accept or like whatever dialectical move you want to make, right? That's fine. And then, like I said, can we go point by point? So you go back to what you were saying about the argumentation theories, the plausibility, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that, mind you, that was like 1 point, but essentially to bring it into the argumentation theory as to why that's even relevant. But honestly, to even talk about that, because that answer that you gave me there wasn't even like sufficient. But argumentation theory, when I ask for argumentation theory, I'm asking your move specifically. I'm asking what your move is supposed to accomplish in the exchange that we are having right now. Like
Mm.
for example, like
Yeah, yeah. Well,
are
you,
you
well, you
proving
don't have to
truth?
give.
Are you
Well, you
proving
don't. You don't.
are
Well,
you
you don't have to
showing
give. You don't have
possibility?
to give an example.
Are you
Yeah,
showing
you don't have to give.
satisfiability? Right?
You don't have to give an
All you
example, brother. You
answered,
don't have to
stop
give an
speaking. All you
example.
stop speaking. I'm not gonna give an example anymore. So all you answered when I asked you what is your move doing or supposed to accomplish in the exchange, all you answered is that you only have a formal modeling or satisfiability, right? That move is just like, and then second, on the obligation point, I don't need moral obligation. I need dialectical obligation, by the way. Just let that be known.
Well, I mean, you don't need anything, but like I said, right, you don't have to have any obligation. And I do want to mention a few things. You said argumentation theory is the one. I mean, I'm not even that, but yeah. So I'm not gonna engage with the first point anymore. I think I've sufficiently answered that type of talk there. I already granted that can be metaphysically impossible. It can be false. That the Trinity doesn't exist. All this type of talk. But what I've showcased here is an consistent model, i.e., right, obviously in some or this some f, right, it's going to be satisfiable, where we can recursively even deploy, recursive extensions to what it would mean to be true in some type of model.
My bad. Took me
And then
long to.
you
Anyways,
define
as
arguments.
you as I was saying, I literally gave you the example. So listen, so what we're talking
I'm
about.
asking for a definition, not an example of argumentation.
What are you asking for?
But I just said a definition for argumentation theory.
A definition for argumentation theory? Sure. Listen. So, a definition for argumentation theory, essentially, as I'm using it, right? So, when we talk about argumentation theory, we're talking about the conceptual apparatus that determines what counts as a good argument in the first place. So, moving on, it's what I was going to talk about, so I can
Yeah,
respond to what you were saying. Stop speaking, so I can respond to what you were saying. What you said earlier does not help, and it does not do anything beyond what you've already conceded, right? What all I've heard from you is that you're saying, oh, because you can recursively define truth in the model for F, that adds anything beyond satisfiability, right? So, like, essentially, right, essentially all I'm saying from this is that under my account, essentially, this does not follow, because when we talk about, or when you talk about recursive truth conditions, you're just specifying a semantic for your language, right? And I think that's fine. I don't give a fuck about that. You got a formal system F. You got a model M, a recursive definition of truth, like a Tarskian satisfaction relation or whatever the fuck, right? That just tells me, all that just tells me is how a sentence comes out true in M, right? It does not tell me why M tracks reality, or why the interpretation is privileged, or why your identity relations are legitimate at all. What is your theory of
Well,
truth here?
whoa.
And also,
The identity.
because if yes,
Oh my.
that collapses immediately. If
Are you
it's
just
just
gonna
truth
keep
and
making
model
multiple
equals
points after I've already
implicit.
asked you? Are you gonna keep making multiple points after I already asked you to go point by point?
What were the multiple points? Name them now.
Yeah. So hold on. Well, I mean, again, this is all recorded. I don't care to recall it,
Okay,
but
so
you
you
literally
can't
are
name them. Stop
making.
saying that, then you
Wait,
fucking.
you literally are making multiple points. But I do want to be clear here. Right, whether the identity relation is going to be legitimate, it's going to be determined by the formation rules. And if you want to, I can give you the formation rules for system F, right? But clearly,
Oh wait,
like
are
I
you like fucking retarded? That's what's in question. Listen, so I don't
no, that was one of the inference. Wait, that
formulation.
was one of the.
Listen,
Wait, that was one of the
the formation
concerns.
rules
No, we
don't
can just
license
disengage. We can
identity.
disengage you.
Do you think the formation? Do you think those rules license identity?
Well, presumably when you were talking about whether the identity relations were illegitimate, I thought you were referring to formation rules as this type of language that you're talking about is canonical to model theory and just formal systems and formal logic in general. But when you talk about identity, you're probably, I mean, I suspect since giving a response, you're talking about something distinct, right? So if you want to allude or explain what you're talking about there, that you can. But if it's not, the formal stuff, then I don't know why it's going to be relevant anyways.
Okay. I'm talking about formation rules. I'm not talking about formation rules at all. I'm talking about identity as a semantic and metaphysical notion, not just some form of symbol, some fucking symbol in the language, right?
Oh, it's not.
When you introduce all that shit there are two different readings. There's a purely formal, the modal theoretic there, and they just have, or they are just equivalence relations in the structure or any structure, reflexive, metric, transitive. Like they partition the domain into
Metric.
classes, right? And I'm
Uh-huh.
fine with that.
Uh-huh.
Under that reading, your
Um,
system is
yeah.
standard. I have no issue with
Well,
that.
I just
But the
I just
genuine
want to be
identity problem, is that identity is the relation of being one and the same thing, right? It carries across all predicates.
well, I'm not too
Are
sure
you
if
aware
I
of Leibniz law?
I'm aware of what you're referring to. But firstly, I do want to say that the identity operator isn't just merely the equivalence relations. It's going to be the axiom of substitutivity that governs it as well. But yeah, here I'm not using primitive identity. I'm using impure RI, and impure
You're
RI
using
doesn't
what? You're
impure
using what?
RI impure
And
RI
you're using
impure
NPR RI? Using what? Can you speak? Using what? What are you using?
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just said impure RI, or we could say, total relative identity, and it doesn't necessarily have to quantify overall predicates. You can have these type of sameness relations, and we can still have the terms in which it binds be distinct from each other within the non-empty set.
That's really confused.
Also,
Listen,
you said that's confused?
yeah, stop pausing. Stop
You,
pausing.
you
We're
want
gonna
to
we're
conclude?
trying to-
You can just
Yeah,
conclude.
that would only work if I grant your whole relative identity apparatus. Are you
You
saying
don't
that
have to grant it.
identity is
You don't have to grant
sortable?
it. You don't have to
Stop
grant it. You
speaking.
don't have to grant it.
Stop speaking. Are
You
you
don't have to
saying that
grant
your identity? Are you saying that identity is sortal relative to substantivity, right? Is restricted to predicates tied to that sortal. Be precise. What is your theory of identity here?
Well, if you're just inquiring about, the extension that I've added to FOL, right? Again, the impure RI or the sole relative identity operator is one that's gonna also, or it has the capacity to be to express all these equivalence relations, even upholding the substitutivity axiom, right? But what it does is again it takes these types of relations, it indexes it to some type of sortal, which obviously gives a criterion for individuation. It may give a criterion for persistence and whatnot. Sortals can give these type of criterions for anything, right? And all it's saying is that the axioms or the equivalence relation that governs
Are you
the
saying it's
identity
restricted?
operator
Is it
is
restricted?
one is
You
one
define a
that
sortal index equivalence relation, not identity. Calling it identity is doing the work that I'm talking about here, my guy. What is your theory of identity here? What criterion of adequacy are you using that lets identity, right, be many valued or sortal relative?
well, I mean, if you're just asking, what's going to be the primitive symbol or the type of formula in which does like this type of
No,
semantic work
no,
that I'm
no. That's
talking
not what
about
I'm
here.
asking. That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking. Listen. That's not the issue. You keep on trying to drop down a primitive symbol or formation rules, but that's not what's in question, right? Are you saying that because we have we have these things and they're well defined symbols with rules, they're therefore legitimate identity relations? Under my account, that wouldn't follow. I have to ask you
Well,
what your theory
wait,
of
I can
argumentation is
I can grant it
again,
that way. I can
because
grant
you're
that under
giving
your account. But I already understand your
yeah,
position.
you're giving
So
a
I can grant
syntax.
under your
You're giving
account. I can grant under your
relax.
account that you're.
You're giving a
Hold
syntactic specification, or what are you giving? A syntactic specification or justification of identity as a concept?
Yeah, so I
Yup.
can grant under your account it's illegitimate. But to be clear, when I talk about something that's well typed or ill typed or illegitimate or legitimate, I'm just merely referring to the formation rules here. And as I've mentioned to you, I can give the formation rules, or I can I can give them in like digital format, or I can tell you them vocally, right? Clearly, all the formulas in here are ones that actually do abide or do not violate any of the formation rules. So they clearly are legitimate. If you think they're illegitimate, that's fine. We can just disengage here. I want to go talk to Rezon though. He seems like more interesting than you, so we
Yeah,
can
because
just
you're
run
getting
this up.
obliterated. So, anyways,
Yeah,
listen.
you're right. I'm getting
Yeah,
you're
you
right. I'm
just
getting
changed
obliterated. You're trying to
legitimate
run
to only
away.
mean well formed.
Yeah.
You know that's right? You're equivocating, and that's trivial. So listen,
Oh, I'm
you
not.
just said legitimacy equals well formedness under formation rules. Because when we talk about formation rules, we're talking about syntax, which string counts as formulas, right? I grant that your formulas are well formed. I don't care about that. But that does not touch whether the equal underscore p or equal underscore g are identity rather than equivalence, right? Or whether your subsidiary
Mhm.
is licensed.
Yeah.
Why is that
Yeah.
even licensed? Whether your
Yeah.
semantic tracks
Yeah.
anything
Can we?
beyond model. What's your
Yeah.
theory
Yeah.
of
That's fine.
representation here? If success is
Yeah.
just
Well,
well
I
formedness,
don't think
then
that's
every
relevant. Just
consistent
we can go
Game
ahead
listing.
and pause.
over.
Wait, we
All
could
right,
just disengage. We
and,
could just
and,
disengage.
and erect. This nigga got obliterated. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. Yeah. I got.